Endurance racing takes the spotlight this week with a doubleheader in Detroit, mayhem in Monza, and a look ahead to the Monaco Grand Prix. It's your only comprehensive weekly motorsport review show. Sidepods and Splitters, Episode 2. Let's go. We start with IndyCar, and just 1 week after a heart-stopping Indy 500, the series swapped the high speeds of Indianapolis for the tight streets of Detroit. In a doubleheader shared with the IMSA series, Alex Palou took his Honda-powered Chip Ganassi Racing to victory lane, securing a win over Kyle Kirkwood and Graham Rahal. While Palou controlled the race, late chaos ensued behind him. Antipodeans and former teammates Will Power and Scott McLaughlin traded blows, ultimately taking each other out. Palou's 4th win of the season allows him to stretch his championship lead over Kirkwood to 62 points after 8 rounds. Staying in Detroit, it was a massive weekend for General Motors as they secured victory in both the GTP and GTD categories in IMSA. Those wins came courtesy of Jack Aitken and Earl Bamber in the LMDH Cadillac and Antonio Garcia and Alexander Sims in the Corvette. Securing their 7th consecutive podium in the series, Aitken and Bamber dominated the race to win from pole, ahead of the number 25 WRT BMW Hybrid V8 shared by Philip Eng and Marco Whitman. Compounding the joy for General Motors in its corporate hometown, Ricky Taylor and Felipe Albuquerque took a season-best 3rd place in the GTP category in the Wayne Taylor Racing Cadillac. Australian Shaz Moster, who was running the Lexus RCF with teammate Aaron Telitz, was running as high as 2nd place. However, a late race contact with Nicky Katzberg in the number 4 Corvette forced him to pit with damage. Mostert and Telitz were then handed a post-race penalty for exiting the pit lane while the red light was showing, meaning they were ultimately not classified. To Monza and continuing with GT racing, a massive Turn 1 pile-up marked the start of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe at Monza, with 8 cars taken out at the very first corner. The scale of the incident was so severe that 3/4 of the field had to take to the escape road just to keep going. Maxime Martin in the number 17 Mercedes was handed the blame for the incident, although he denied any fault, claiming he didn't touch anyone and his car didn't have a scratch on it. The footage shows that while he is technically right and didn't make any contact, Alessio Rivera in the number 51 Ferrari had to swerve. That in turn sent the number 10 Boutsen VDS Porsche into the guardrail. Rivera then lurched back and spun into Marvin Kirchhoff's McLaren, which flipped over and unchecked ploughed through the entire leading group at the chicane. Later, a last lap mistake by Kelvin van der Linde caused another Turn 1 incident, sending the number 9 Pure Racing Porsche into a frightening rollover. After all the dust had settled, the Silver Cup Audi of Tressa Tempo Racing, followed by Rocco Mazzola, Ariel Levy and Sebastian Ogart, triumphed in one of the most remarkable GT World Challenge races ever. This win returns Audi to the top step of Endurance Cup race for the first time since 2022. Looking ahead to Formula 1 now and the Monaco Grand Prix, the build-up to one of the most anticipated races of the season has begun. Now, whether you like it on the calendar or not, Monaco looks like the best chance this season for Ferrari to finally get that much-needed win. This year's Monte Carlo race will look a little different too, with a raft of changes coming into effect for the streets of Principality. The controversial mandatory 2-stop rule introduced for 2025 has been scrapped for this year's race. This gives teams a little bit more flexibility on their tyre choices. Additionally, to lower ARS battery limits, the FIA has mandated an engine setting called Rev 1. This reduces ARS battery deployment at much lower speeds, tapering power off at 200 k's instead of the usual 290. The other major change is the removal of the straight mode activation zone. F1's new aero system, which allows the front and rear wings to flatten, has been completely disabled for this weekend. This is to prevent any unpredictable downforce drops and excessive closing speeds on the tight streets. With Ferrari's claimed chassis advantage and the twisty layout minimising engine power disparities, will this be the first time this season where a Mercedes driver isn't on the top step? The Leclerc lover in me is definitely hoping so. Well, that's all for this week's jam-packed edition of Sidepods and Splitters, but the endurance racing calendar doesn't sleep. We're now officially on the countdown to the crown jewel of motorsport. In just 1 week's time, the greatest race in the world takes over France, the famous 24 Hours of Le Mans. We'll be bringing you all the build-up and all the drama, as well as the predictions as hypercars, LMP2s and GT3s prepare to tackle the iconic Circuit de la Sarthe twice around the clock. Will Ferrari defend their crown for the 4th consecutive year, or will Toyota, Cadillac and BMW storm the French countryside? Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out a massive Le Mans preview dropping in a couple of days. And don't forget to follow us on all your favourite social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok and Facebook at CNK Motorsport. Until next time, keep it on the black stuff, keep those side pods wide, and we'll see you at a racetrack near you soon.